We're on the couch now. It's a little bit more of a familiar set, and we're with old friend Rachel Cook. Rachel, you're a nutritionist.
Yes.
And we're talking today about iron, because, you know, everyone's saying iron, iron, iron. What actually is iron?
Iron is a mineral that we use in our bodies. We use it for many functions. We use it to transport oxygen from our lungs to our bodies. That's one of the main functions of it. Pertaining to blood drives and how we use it, it's the main mineral for the protein hemoglobin, which you use in your blood. So generally people who are anemic and they don't have enough iron in their blood, they can't give blood. So it's a huge problem when people are trying to give blood, and Red Cross says you can't because you don't have enough iron.
So what we needed to do, and what we did earlier, everyone before they come down to donate blood, you need to make sure your iron levels are up. So if you don't mind, you just saw us making some things in the kitchen. What do you think first about that smoothie that we made, good or bad?
Smoothie was awesome. Blackstrap molasses is very rich in iron. That's considered a non-heme iron source, so that would be a vegetable-based iron source. You had some watermelon in that. Watermelon is high in vitamin C, so I don't know if you knew that if you take a vegetarian source of iron and you mix it with vitamin C, it actually enhances your absorption.
So if you eat an orange before or after you give, that's really going to help you out when you donate.
Oh, absolutely.
And now we're talking about the meat too.
Yes.
Now there's something different about iron that comes from meat as opposed to iron that comes from vegetables.
Exactly. So meat iron, and it's kind of an obvious thing. If you think of iron in our blood and you think of animal sources, animals have blood in it. Any meat source such as organs, so liver is extremely high in iron. You have chicken and steak, those are going to be your best iron sources. Obviously not everyone eats meat and people are vegetarian, and we certainly never have iron or meat right after we give blood. I mean, that's not something that you're going to see.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. No, no. So definitely that was an exceptional choice, and you don't have to have it all the time. You know, follow the Surgeon General guidelines 1 to 2 times a week for red meat is probably sufficient, and use appropriate serving sizes as well.
And now lastly, the spinach was pretty good too. We did the spinach hummus because both beans and spinach is high in iron.
Right.
So we want to make sure we eat a lot of that. And you were saying it's more helpful sometimes if we eat the red meat and the meats because it absorbs a little bit easier.
Exactly.
Now let's talk iron deficiency. If someone doesn't have enough iron in their diet, what can they expect? What feels different about them?
So they're going to be, obviously, everyone knows that when you don't have enough iron, you're going to be fatigued. You're going to be tired. You're not going to be able to function as properly. There's many functions about iron, not just when you're donating blood. Infants need a lot of iron for motor skill development, as well as brain function and development. Lactating women, breastfeeding women, pregnant women, you also need that for developing the fetus as well. But men have different requirements of iron as well as menstruating women. So you do need more iron if you're losing blood. So menstruating women need a higher amount of
iron in their diet. And right now we're looking at the recommended dietary allowance per day for men and for women. So it differs, and all this information is on the back of things that we eat. When we see those nutrition facts, it says there how much iron's in it. So if we almost keep a little food journal and during the day kind of chronicle it, we can see if we're in the right vein.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite ways of getting iron among foods is actually with vitamins. New Chapter Vitamins is probably one of the better sources of iron. They are a non-GMO, local organic vitamin company out of Vermont. And everybody kind of says, I was talking about this with Ashley earlier, that iron is hard to digest. It's one of those minerals that's hard to digest. People get sick from it. And any review you read, New Chapter has high reviews on digestibility. And
it's funny, I think it goes back and forth that the daily vitamin talk. You know, do you take a daily vitamin? Is it a bunch of hogwash? But iron's one of those things that maybe if you don't have a lot of it in your diet, it's an important vitamin that you supplement.
Absolutely. And you only are going to absorb so much of it. You're only going to absorb 30% of the meat sources of iron, and you're only going to absorb maybe anywhere from 2 to 10% of the vegetable sources of iron. So people forget that you eat the food, but you don't absorb all of it.
So in other words, let's say there's 10 milligrams of iron in something. Only 3 of those milligrams is really going to make a difference.
Right, and you have to be. That's why balancing what you eat with foods is really important. I think people forget about that. For example, if you're gonna make a smoothie, or you're really concerned, you know you're going to get blood. So definitely add the spinach in it. Maybe add some orange juice in it, or add something in it where you know there's going to be any vitamin C source. I always try to combine those two. And there is a recipe on my massappeal.com, which is a spinach salad with oranges and goat cheese that is very rich in iron. It's something that's really easy to make at home.
So it's not necessarily about loading up on spinach and eating pounds and pounds. It's about finding that balance in your body.
Exactly.
So that you can be healthier.
Exactly.
Love it. Rachel, thank you so much. And
Thank
later
you.
on the show, we are going to tell people all of these foods and why they're so important to add to your diet, especially if you're looking to eat a little bit more iron. But for now, I'm going to toss...
Joining us now is nutritionist Rachel Cook, and we're going to talk about foods that are iron-rich, good for you, and also supplements and how important they are.
Absolutely. So we know that iron is good for you. We established that when you give blood, you would lose a little iron, so we have to replenish those sources. The best time to do that is obviously, giving yourself adequate iron throughout your diet and your lifespan, but also right after you get blood. So there's a few things you can do. Definitely some things that I thought of, because I'm trying to maintain a healthy weight and stay healthy, was if I know I'm going to give blood or whatnot, you can definitely have a shake that is directly after you give blood with some maybe almond milk or something of that nature. Just because it's easy to keep in your car, you can keep it in your drink bag, whatnot. That's always a great resource. Raisins.
Raisins.
And all dried fruits, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much?
they're very rich in iron, and like we said earlier, you want to combine that with vitamin C. So it doesn't have to be just oranges. I know oranges get the biggest rap for being rich in vitamin C, but you also red peppers, orange peppers. There's tons of other great fruits and vegetables that are very rich in vitamin C.
And I think that's why often, after you give blood, sometimes you're greeted with a glass of orange juice or something like that because it's so helpful. Also, I see these vitamins on there, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but they help with absorption, and they're just, it's good.
They're easy to digest. There's certain vitamins that are easy to digest other than other ones. I know that Ash and I talked about when we were pregnant, taking prenatal vitamins and being able to digest them easily, and they make a lot of people feel sick. These ones in particular use all natural food sources, so they're incredibly easy to digest. I don't want to throw you under the bus, Seth, but Seth just had one, and we know he's not pregnant anytime soon.
Well, I was nervous. They're prenatal vitamins. What to
They just
expect
get
when I'm
your
expecting.
body ready, healthy to carry. But they're good for, I still take them actually because they're like a multivitamin. But that specific brand will actually help you, it'll digest easily.
Yeah, and so, I mean, and there's a lot of different things too. Yes, when you're giving blood, you need iron, but then your kids, I mean, you need it for basic functions. A lot of times people are lethargic when they have low iron and they're anemic. So there's so many great fortified foods that if you're not eating meat sources or whatnot, you can definitely, there are certain cereals that are really rich in fortified.
And I think a lot of cereals, when you go down the cereal aisle, so many cereals are fortified with extra vitamins and minerals, but if you're looking from a health perspective too, some of those cereals are not so good for you.
They're not so good for you. I mean, I was looking at my kids, I don't know why, we had like Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops, and they're good. I mean, my kids like them, but they've got a little sugar in it. And there's nothing wrong with those sources, especially if they need a boost of energy. But there's definitely some great all-natural sources. Oatmeal's rich in it. Even coconut flakes. These are great. They have a small percentage as well. And you want to combine and keep a very balanced diet throughout the day.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's not just eating that we were talking earlier. Don't eat that pound of spinach, but find things that interact well with each other, and not just about iron in your whole life in general, so that you can be well-rounded and healthy.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's definitely different ways you can do it. I noticed there's some awesome snacks here as well.
Yes.
So there's me some good treats when you donate blood.
Yeah, she's gearing up to donate. Ashley, if you haven't heard, you're donating at the end of the show.
Yes, I am.
But luckily, you have so many good treats that you can eat afterwards, so you're good to go.
I have a lot to look forward to. I know, muffins and bagels and cookies. And also, everyone's allowance is different when it comes to, whether you're a man, a woman, a child, or whether you're pregnant or whatever it may be in terms of iron.
Hey, we have some blood trivia. So if you want a new fun game, it's sweeping Western Massachusetts. It's blood trivia. You can play it at home. We're going to test you, if you don't mind, Rachel, with a few questions. Okay, and Ashley, you know what?
Putting on the
she
spot.
hasn't looked at these either, so I'm going to play the host. Approximately how many hospitals does the Red Cross provide blood for in the United States?
70.
Who's ever closer gets a prize. 70?
2,700.
Did you read this card?
Yeah.
She read the top card.
70 is nothing.
It's out of here.
That's the
All
only
right,
one I
next
read.
one. True or false, the American Red Cross supplies about 40% of the nation's blood supply?
True.
Ashley?
40%.
40%.
False. I think they supply more.
Rachel Cook is the winner for the
Wow.
next one. All right, here we go.
Do I get a pound of
Good job,
coffee?
Rachel.
Roughly, you can maybe get a pound if you donate some blood later.
I'll give a pint.
Roughly, how many pints of blood could a single car accident victim require? Closest gets it.
7.
And
How
car
many
accidents happen
pints?
every day in America. This is why you need to come down and donate.
7.
How many pints of blood? 7.
I'm gonna say
30.
5.
You are both dead wrong. If you get in a single car accident, it will require as many as 100 pints of blood. So that's why you need to come on
Wow.
down and donate a pint and you get a pound. All right,
Wow.
That's a big deal.
let's do a couple more.
I was way off.
What blood type is the most requested by hospitals?
Oh, we know this. Oh.
She doesn't know.
I was gonna say
Or B
0,
negative.
but I meant O. Yes.
Oh.
No,
I
it is
heard- I
O.
heard
It
it
is
said-
O.
It's an O or
Because
B
that's
negative.
a universal type.
It is universal.
It's the universal
Oh.
type. All right, next. True or false is too easy. All right, last question here. We all know the answer to this one. What's the shelf life for red blood cells?
Ooh, 3 months.
She's right.
1
Maybe
year.
she is, maybe
I think,
she's
no,
not.
it's a year.
The shelf life for red blood cells.
40
And this is
days.
why people need to come down and donate.
Oh, it's 3
often,
days.
as often as you can. 42 days. Blood is perishable, therefore it needs to be constantly replenished, and that's why you need to come on down. Once again, the blood drive today until 6 o'clock right here, Studio 1A, WWLP. We're right off 391. Come on down now until 6, and don't go anywhere. More Mass Appeals right after this.